500 of you. Thank you. Ramona, okay. Do you want me to start dragging people off the street? I'll drag them off the street. Yay! That's our good. Yes. Mr. Yoshi, do you want to come up? Yes, please, Mr. Yoshi. Come on up, Mr. Yoshi. Wow, that's 97 for you. Yeah. Woo! Yeah. Come on, Mr. Yoshi. Went up them steps like a young man. 97. So, today we're going to do it a little differently. Like, we're going to pretend we're back in 1972, and Regina forgot all her big cars. So, first of all, I'm going to show it here as a presentation. Nothing's on the screen. Nothing will be on the screen. I am the beta, and so this helps us to iron out for the rest of the 4 days. So first of all, thank you for coming to Katrina 20 Commission's Week of Action. And today it is kind of hard without the screen. I have really become okay. So, first of all, thank you again for coming and taking time out, y'all. And we are called the Krewe of Kaeru. But before we start, I would like to do some acknowledgments. And the first acknowledgement is a land acknowledgement that I would like Miss Carol to do. A very short land acknowledgement.
Hi, everybody. So a land acknowledgement is a way to recognize the first peoples of this land, and it can be done by anyone. It doesn't have to be a person of indigenous heritage. And so this area has always been a place where people gathered, always. The Choctaw named it Bobancha, which translates as the place of many languages or many tongues, because people like the Biloxi, the Tunica, the Chitamacha, and then those who only live in memory, like the Chapatulas, the ones that still exist today who have never ceded their lands, like the Atakapa Ishak Chuasha out in Grand Bayou Village, or the Atakapa Ishak who live over on the western part of the state. All of these folks are what made this region what it is. And we want to acknowledge that they were here first, that they helped bring about what became the colony of eventually Louisiana and now its state, and that we endeavor in the best way we can to honor their heritage, their history, their knowings about the earth, their indigenous practices of caring for the earth, the water, the air, and everything that swims, crawls, or flies. So, and we would also like to welcome you to this H3. Yes, the Krewe of Kaeru. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol. The other acknowledgements that I'd like to say is for the K-20 Commission. We actually have a co-chair right here, Ramona Graham. Helps with the program. Operations volunteers, Miss Ramona They are a movement. Please go to Katrina20.org and sign up. I want to thank June Bug Productions and the Foundation for Louisiana, G. Shar Productions, and also, not mentioned, but I want to acknowledge the Ashe Cultural Center as well. Thank you. So, I know we have a short, abbreviated agenda today, but we will start with our membership and our founding crew. As far as our founding and anchor crew, we have Bella Denise, she's in school right now, S.A. Friedman, Grace Baruya, Janice C.S. Roberts, Jamal Valderan, Carol Sloan Buckbinder, Kelly Love Jones, Kirill Bryn, Mackenzie Marcellus, Osa Arun, myself, Sandra Hightower, Summer Rice Robertson, Ted Buckbinder, Yoshitada Bill, Yamagami, and Zane. What our crew does is that we hold 2 annual events. It is usually December 24th, and that is a haiku salon. We celebrate and we do a haiku reading and an art share. The other event that we do is our World Poetry Day that is at Back of Town Cafe. That will be our 4th annual coming up March 21st, 2026. And this year we will also have a birthday luncheon for Mr. Yoshi Bill Yamagami, who on October of this year will be turning 98. Okay, so poetry, healing, power, and panel. My name is Regina Serafino. I am on the committee and commission for Katrina 20. I am a culture bearer promoter. I do many things, but this isn't about me. This is about this panel here and their poetry. So I'm going to introduce you all, not in any particular order, but I have Tracy Elizabeth Music. Her Instagram is at @ISCreates. It's AAYES _creates, CREATES. She is a culture bearer in all arts. She's also a kinesiologist, and she's in the Black masking tradition and a leader of the spiritual practice of Ifa. She also, you will see her at Preservation Hall as well. So this is Miss Tracy Elizabeth. I say Tracy Elizabeth Music. Next I have here is, everyone knows this woman here, Devaney Marshall. She is New Orleans influencer. She is the founder of the DAC Media, Well Down, and the Mara Creative Agency. She's also a filmmaker, and you will also be able to see her film preview this Thursday at 6 p.m. at St. Block. She's amazing, she's vibrant, and this is Miss Devaney. Next, we have Yoshitada Yamagami, Bill Yamagami. He is the founder and the Kaeru Haiku translator. He is also the first Japanese Fulbright scholar to America. He came in 1955 through Seattle. I will be telling his story because he cannot hear very well, but I will abbreviate his story. He has a great history if you guys ever have a chance to talk with him, because he was also a White House translator for 40 years, meeting all presidents up until 1998. He shook all the presidents' hands that became president. We were trying to get him at Kamala. We brought him to the very first essence where Kamala was speaking, but we couldn't get him there for the second one when she was there. So there is Yoshitada Bill Yamagami. And finally, last but not least, we have Carol Sloan Gutbinder. This woman is an icon. She's a multi and interdisciplinary artist. She has everything from visual to performing. And I want to make mention that she is performing in upstream, swimming upstream at the Mahalia Jackson. What time is this at, Miss Carol? 6 Friday? Friday at 7, Saturday at 5. Friday at 7 and Saturday at 5. And also, if you ever see, she's a muralist. You can see her and her son's murals around the city in the Marini. And also, you can see her art on utility boxes. She is one of these people that you can find all over the place. And also, she helped me with my ancestral pathways. We did it is deep for me because my family were bricklayers for the city of New Orleans, original. And so I had myself and my son actually got the clay from the West Bank in Algiers. And then we used the water from Lincoln Beach to create bricks. It was installed at the Tulane Environmental Conference last year. So I have to thank you on that. That is very touching and very special to me. So with that being said, I'd like just to go down and I would like for you guys to, if you guys want, and it's no pressure, take your time to share your story about Katrina if you want. You don't have to. It's no pressure. You can share your haiku if you want. You have 5 minutes because of time. And again, I thank you. And so our first speaker is Miss Tracy Elizabeth. Thank you.
Yesterday, I want to give first reverence to the owner for your stay and our ancestral spirits. I'm going to close my eyes so that I can really retell the story of that 20 years ago. I am the granddaughter of Eva Green and Bessie Wright Graham, the daughter of Katrina and Louise Graham, the sister of Ramona Cherie Graham, and sister of Katrina Graham. My sister was a cop in OPD. I was a high school teacher at that time, and we got paid at the end of the month, once a month. And I had one paycheck, and then had my niece, nephews with me. So it's 4 children and 1 paycheck. So as we make the road trip to Shreveport, Louisiana, my Abu which I'm thankful, grateful for my auntie, Bonnie, which about to her as she's an ancestor now, who made it easier for me. The youngest of the 4 children was 2 at the time. And I didn't know where my sister was or my god sister was. They both were in OPD officers at the time. So evacuating at the last minute, hitting the highways, and watching things unfold, and left with not knowing what had happened. And so we're on the floors and relative house, and I thought that I could sneak away to get a time for myself just in the back room. But no, here comes the baby. Because I wanted to cry. I couldn't cry because I had mouths to feed, I had children with me. I wanted to get something back into a rhythm for them. And when the call came, I hightailed to Baton Rouge in the dark. No GPS. Don't know how I made it. In the back roads in which I got there to get to my sister. had to do, not knowing if I would have to parent 4 children on my own or how and where they would live, where their clothes was, and again, only one paycheck. But I give thanks, and I had refuge, that refuge with my godsons, Mother Baton Rouge, Christy, I love you, for that, eternally, and we made it. We made it, and ironically, when Gustav came, we swapped shoes, she had all the kids, and I was working EMS, and I had to stay. So there's an exchange that happened that only one can be grateful for at this time, so you don't have to look tit for tat. Oh, well, I did this, I did that. No, we both shared a very important thing. Thank you. And I'm thankful to be here. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
I love.
Oh. And I'm also a singer and songwriter as well and photographer. So my plan. Visit infinite space, a supreme artist action in photography. I was already thank you all for being here. Again, my name is Stephanie, and I am a writer first, probably before all those many businesses. Um, my Katrina story. So, 1 year before Katrina, I lost my grandmother after becoming a caregiver at 11 and being that to 14. Such a beautiful relationship. Um, and my family and I had the privilege of evacuating. So we were not here, but we did have family members who were here. And we spoke to one of those family members, and they had told us the storm had passed and everything was okay. An hour later, he called us and told us the levees had been breached and water was everywhere. And they did not think they were going to leave it. My dad had remained in New Orleans. My uncle was here. There was a thing about people saying to keep checking on their property. Something I hope people do not do now. Um, and I just remember being very full in the hotel room, in the bathroom, crying. My little cousin at the time, he was 2. And there was a little toy that was given in like a Happy Meal box. So to make me feel better, he gave me Dad's toy. Um, whew, I did not think I would cry this much. That toy has remained with me to this day. I sleep with it every night, and it provides a sense of comfort for me. As you said, we made it. And I don't think oftentimes we take a moment to reflect on what we've been through. I consider myself a healer. I do a lot of breath work practicing and mindfulness practicing, but I don't think it actually hit me until this year that we went through. And we survived, and we not only survived, but we thrived because we came back and we're creating events like this, and we're community again for one another, and we never gave up the spirit of New Orleans, although many things have shifted and have changed. Um, that led me to the film that I'll be previewing tomorrow called The Artifacts, and it is about what we got through and how we got through. So I'm going to share my haiku now. Thank you. Far from the levees, yet I drowned in memory, reborn with the tide. Thank you for holding space.
Yep, see. Hey, hey.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to just speak very briefly because I'm in an anthology that's going to be coming out in, I think, November. It's being published by Carol D. Bell and University of New Orleans Press. It's called Counting Our Blessings, and my story is in there. And I really would rather use my time to read Katrina Crew. So this was from 2002 to 2016. There was a New Orleans Haiku Society. We met at Ladder Library once a month, and then we'd go out for sushi. We have two founders, David Lanoux, who up until very recently was a professor of English at Xavier, and Johnette Downing, who is an award-winning, world-renowned children's musician and author. David is fluent in Japanese, and he is the premier translator of Itza. Itza is a founder of the Haiku form. And so we decided we needed to do something in the wake of what was happening. So we were, at that point, evacuated all over. None of us were back in New Orleans. And we put this book together, and we raised money for organizations that were doing relief efforts. So that's where the proceeds went. And so I'm going to just read you these. And I'm going to read each one twice, because that's a tradition that we have. My eyes on. Didn't meet these 20 years ago, but gotta have them now. So it's called Katrina Crewe, Storm Poems. Color-coded, the winds rise, tracking the storm. Color-coded, the winds rise, tracking the storm. Constant hurricane watching, channel changed to mutiny on the Bounty. Constant hurricane watching, channel changed to mutiny on the Bounty. Evacuation plan, running for our lives at 2 miles an hour. Evacuation plan, running for our lives at 2 miles an hour. Long gas lines, fueling tempers. Long gas lines, fueling tempers. The city care forgot is drowning. Care remembered. The city care forgot is drowning. Care remembered. Receding waters, the dog comes off the roof. Receding waters, the dog comes off the roof. Zigzag, artistic Katrina experiments with power lines. Zigzag, artistic Katrina experiments with power lines. That was some hurricane. Parrots on a power line chatter. That was some hurricane. Parrots on a power line chatter. Flooding neighboring states. Hurricane evacuees. Flooding neighboring states. Hurricane evacuees. Got it. All right. Last one. Hurricane. Friends scatter all over America. Hurricane. Friends scatter all over America. Thank you.
And we actually invited the Dave to this as well. We did it virtually. Yeah. dissolved, and we then somehow formed. Um, so again, I want to tell you, thank you, ladies, for sharing your experiences. And the last experience is with Mr. Yoshi, and because Mr. Yoshi is elderly, I'm going to tell you his story that I've heard for the last 3 years. And what happened was he was in Canada with one of the other founders, Grace Baruya, which is his sister, and she had passed in 20, right before Katrina, before COVID. Saying that, he went to go visit her and realized he had a doctor's appointment on August 29th. Instead of canceling, because he has such integrity and didn't want to disappoint his doctor, he kept his appointment and was the last flight into New Orleans. And what he said is that he entered the airport and it was empty. Then he went home and he was by himself because, again, he is 98, so he would have been about 77, 78 at the time, or 77 at the time. And he had some neighbors and a cat, and he didn't have anybody. And because he was also deaf, he had his struggles as well. But he actually, interesting enough, when he tells his story, he tells it through the child's eyes. Because he's like, then a helicopter picked me up, and I didn't know anybody. And then we were in Tennessee, and then this pastor helped me. I mean, his story is incredible. Again, I do have it recorded in another video. However, with today, he's here. He has survived. He was born in Shanghai. And so, if I can give a little bit of his bio, he was born in Shanghai, although he is Japanese descent. He has lived through the Chinese-Japanese War. His family then moved to Japan. And then the day that the bombs fell, they were sick and they had went to a city to capture the sea air. So he has survived Nagasaki. In addition to surviving Nagasaki, he has survived numerous wars, but um, including taking every Japanese representative from 1960 to 1998 all through America. Now, what I'm going to do is quickly run through, because I don't have a timeline on screen, but if you can remember, just the progression of events of Japan and New Orleans and the Louisiana timeline. So in 1884, Dr. Takamine, not very good because he was the doctor of amphetamines. He does actually have a historical mansion right off Esplanade. He was invited by the United States for the World's Fair. He was then introduced to Lafcadio Hearn. And if anybody's familiar with Lafcadio Hearn, please look up Lafcadio Hearn. He was of Greek and Irish descent, came here, he had some disabilities, but he was also friends with Marie Laveau. And when Marie Laveau had passed, he had said, the greatest of spiritualists of times had gone. He also fell in love with Japan, and even though he wasn't Japanese, he had moved to Japan because of Dr. Takamine. You know, guys, I'm already imagining it. Two guys enjoying it, going to Japan, and with that happening, it was a cultural and an economic exchange. From that point, New Orleans, if you didn't know, we have a Japanese sister city, and that city is called Matsue, Japan. Interesting enough, my sister-in-law is a Matsue. So that's in 1884. In 1917, it's like how America, it's like, happy, come on in. And then in 1917, the government, and this is what I just learned a couple of days ago from Tracy about Carville, Louisiana. And if you can give a little bit about that, just a couple of sentences?
Part of Louisiana, as well to us, it was the leprosy house. Leprosy is also a Hansen's disease. And you can imagine the amount of people that traveled that way. I recently did a collaboration with Japan to honor one who sought refuge there. I'll say his name is Nico Yamaguchi. And they wanted this recorded for their legacy, to know how they overcame the struggles because they were oppressed. If you had signs of leprosy or Hansen's disease, you had to be isolated on your own plantation. It was its own city. So they had everything they needed there, but they wanted these words to be remembered for him and for Japan and our connection to this.
Thank you, Casey. And actually, he wrote poetry too.
Yes.
While he was basically in prison, let's just be real, and tested on, to say. So that was in 1917, and that was Carville, Louisiana, leprosy in the government. In 1922, however, they opened up the Japanese consulate on 4631 St. Charles, but then closed it with World War II, obviously. 1928, they opened the Japanese Society in New Orleans. So in World War II, that's when they started imprisoning and interning Japanese. And they used Livingston, Louisiana, which had over 1,200 interned Japanese, including other folks. So after that war, in the 1950s and 1960s, the trade between Japan and Louisiana boomed. Again, it's like this up and down, making Japan and the Crescent City the largest trading partner. And that's actually when Mr. Yoshi came in the 1950s and 60s. So then in the 1960s, NOLA becomes the jazz spiritual mecca. And so many Japanese come to New Orleans to listen to jazz music to enjoy. Then in the 1990s, guess what? There are 20 Cafe du Monde in Japan, the biggest of the most Cafe du Monde outside of the United States. And they actually had a contract with Duskin. But in 2018, Duskin breaks it and has Japan close all of these Cafe du Monde. However, present day, 2025, Japan is the largest Asian country that is doing the biggest and foreign direct investment in New Orleans. And I'm talking billions. So that's the timeline of Japan and NOLA and why I felt it was pretty important to do the Haiku Japan and how the ancestors called me to do this. I mean, how we met was interesting. But why haiku? Haiku is like forest bathing. If anyone has done forest bathing, where you walk in nature and you start noticing little things, like the drops, like the cicadas, like the waterfalls, it encourages mindfulness. It quiets your mind when you write it. It provides perspective. It immerses yourself into a life cycle. You realize that you're born, you live, and then you die. It also provides self-discovery, where you have to make careful word choice because it's a succinct poetry. So when you do that, it cultivates your creativity and accomplishment because you had to do it in a contained medium format. I mean, when you can put 100 words in 17 syllables, like that's pretty creative and amazing. But also that haiku is healing. It gives you mental wellness. It reduces anxiety, depression, increases creativity, well-being. It has a spiritual connective. The Japanese are probably one of many ethnic spiritual cultures. They believe in afterlives. They believe in spirituality. In fact, Mr. Yoshi's niece, when I met her, she said she was going to live to 250. And you know what? I believe her. I do. You can find resilience in haiku. It reframes your feelings of hopelessness by encouragement, by a dialogue between yourself and with nature, and a shifting perspective towards survival and renewal. And I feel that that's what we have with our thriving with Katrina, that we have renewal as a community, especially folks that, you know, we don't necessarily have time for. I mean, we don't sometimes even have time for our own pets, our sisters, or brothers, or whatnot. So, what I want to do, if anybody of you is interested, is to write a haiku or take time up to come up here and look at some haikus that our members have written. What I did was I'll tell you the process of the installation. I painted it gold because we are gold. I mean, gold and black. Come on now. We're the saints, you know? I cut out in a pattern form. So there is an art form that's called haiku. It is haiku with usually black calligraphy art form. Very simplistic. So I kept with a cutout and made it simplistic cutout forms. Um, if anyone can remember the artist that does cutouts. I know Monet did it at the end, but there's another, you can see it, but it's a simplistic. I have the black and glitter for the reach and richness and deepness of our earth. And of course, I have the blue glitter of water, of ocean, of the beauty that they possess. Um, I want you to really take time, and if you want, please write a haiku. We will be reading them tomorrow night at St. Roch at 6 p.m. At St. Roch, on St. Roch, St. Roch, on St. Roch at 6 p.m. And it is a Reality Yours networking and open mic. It is ticket only, so you need to go on Eventbrite. So if you decide we'll take time to write a haiku, there are pens at the table, a place to write your haiku, a piece of paper you can keep. You can take a picture, send it to the Instagram. My Instagram is Queen Seraphim. And one more time, I would like just to let you guys talk. I know we talked about the past, but I'd like to talk about the present and future of these young people. For Mr. Yoshi, he is a youngster. Did you see him jump up these steps? This man goes to the doctors on the bus by himself. I know, I should be ashamed. But what he has taught me is longevity. Eat non-processed food, avocados, eat your miso, your green tea. Um, again, just have a positive outlook. He had family members that I'm sure were interned, and they had to keep a positive outlook. And if I had told you even a little bit more, Mr. Yoshi's family is part of the Toyota family, part of the Leapfrog family, part of any Japanese company you see because his father was the original businessman to America and opened up all the Christian Methodist churches in Western America and Canada. I thank his family to also create an Asian alliance. Again, he is a Fulbright scholar, which means he comes in peace. So I'm going to again pass this down, state your name, and again, I forgot to tell you, all these people here all have edumacations. So I want to even give it a hand that these folks here even got a degree. That's 0.0001%. Okay, they're better than the 1%. Okay, so please go say your name, say what you do now, and what you want to do.
My name is Iya Omoba, mother of mystery, daughter of the King Isa, by way of Queen Liangwe, Kapitikwela, Mukulandi, Mukasi, King Tabaka, the people of Congo. Right now, I am an artist multidisciplinary artist. I'm a spiritual practitioner of Southwestern African spirituality, West African spirituality. That is the, the epitome of my founding. It's not a religion, it is a way of life, it's a spiritual practice. And I dedicate my life to that, which has allowed me to move forward. Uh, Singing, songwriting, photography, creativity, uh, public speaking and sharing my story because I also have a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis and many other rare um, diseases. But because I remain at peace and I choose joy over illness, choosing health as my wealth, I am still present and not in a wheelchair and not walking with a cane or oxygen. And my hope is that we will have more love for Mother Earth. I'll be here tomorrow at 5 p.m. in the ancestral assignment tent with some great New Year's resolutions, how we could stop another storm surge from taking out our city. So work together with community, be one, be a nurturer of our culture, and continue to pass on the message. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Debbie Marshall. I am also a multidisciplinary artist. I am a healer and I'm a storyteller. And my hope for this world is to raise us all to a higher conscious through inner healing, and being able to face our true authenticity and our truth and embrace vulnerability because when we are more open publicly, it gives permission for others to do the same. So I hope that this event, each one, you all go back from this and talk about the spirit that is here and what was felt in this space and how it is okay to experience grief and joy within the same because that is what this realm is about. Um, and I hope that that gets us to where we need to be as a collective.
Great. Well, what I do now is I teach a lot. Oh, my state my name. Okay. My name is Armstrong, the founder, and I am also a multidisciplinary artist. I'm an artist in 5 disciplines, and I teach a lot of those disciplines, all ages of kids. Um, and what I hope for the future is building up what you just said, to allow that we make space for each other to grieve, and we offer comfort, and um, that we also teach whatever we know as far as things that we know can help heal. And we also have to be mindful that everybody does not want to receive. Now, I'm a New Orleans transplant, and I often say I'm like a lung, a heart, a liver, a skin graft. But I have a friend who said, well, the body can reject the transplant too. And I have learned that and understand that what that means. One of the reasons why epiphanies are so powerful is because it's free will choice. The person chooses to make something different. And I think that's one of the hardest things is to just back off and let the person make their choice. Um, I also am very optimistic. To quote Bill Scott Aaron, the revolution will not be televised, but the revolution is happening. Yes.
I didn't realize that this meeting is for. But when I say fluency, Katrina fluency, that means uh, yeah, exactly uh, the 20 years that I spent in Katrina, and I found more about myself as well as about the universe. New Orleans because I came to this country in 1952 as one of the 20 uh, who was accepted by the first Fulbright exchange program for Japan and the United States. And it's 20 people accepted out of 8,000 Africans. But at that time, I thought it's only 42 1. What? 4,000. I mean, 400 to 1, which I didn't realize until much later, after I started working for the State Department in 1955, when I finished my work in the United States for master's and doctorate, and I worked for the State Department for 40 years, and it was not cheap right, way because State Department people said we have plenty of descendants from different people in the world, coming from all over the world. So second generation, third generation, fourth generation, there are millions of their descendants. So East Africaからジョブはなくて、skilled job. And they based only actually they paid seasonal workers from Mexico, farm workers. But I accepted this job because I was I wanted to study theology, but I didn't want to be preaching to others. Okay? And anyway, I was so I started translating something called expert interpreter. And meaning at the beginning, one person, Rima, going all over the city in the United States, and I noticed everyone. And later on, it became 1 month. And the shorter even. But anyway, Japanese was grantee of this Fulbright scholarship. They are all allowed to go anything they want. And I found out almost everyone Japanese, no matter who they are, they wanted to go to New Orleans. But I retired at 75. I knew where I wanted to go to New Orleans because New Orleans, Louisiana, was the only English speaking place. Louisiana speaks highest state court was the only one who opened a against the new world, this world, on purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Yoshi, for your story about how you came here. And thank you for your and or and why he came here. It was because he was studying law and he went to Tulane Law Library. And back in 1835, there was a court case about land here. And what happened was they used the word and or, and it had to do with inheritance, and it's way above my pay grade. You guys can look it up, but that's where and or came in. And you can study more with the and or, and actually Carol's at and also, right? Well, there's people who do and ors, and then there's and also. So again, I would love to thank you all. I want to thank my panel. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for letting me know more about what you guys are doing. Again, tomorrow at 5 o'clock at the tent over there, 6 o'clock at St. Louis. I don't know, you might be at St. Louis or the tent, Mr. Yoshi, and you are swimming upstream on Friday at 7 and Saturday at 5. And again, I want to thank you, and if you guys can pull out your phones, Instagram, or I don't know, it's called hashtag We Are the Storm, hashtag K20, hashtag Armstrong Park, Congo Square, hashtag
Aye creates AAYECREATES. Aye creates.
Mine is at Dev in the City, hashtag Dev in the City.
Just making sure.
No, he does, kind of.
Yes. So I'm Sloan, Sloane, and then my last name is Bookbinder, Boekbinder. I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm SL Bookbinder. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, can I ask one question? If you guys could just give us the haiku format. So
Absolutely. Well, no, we had it on the slides, but yeah. So there's two haiku formats, but we were doing the abbreviated form. And I thank you, Miss Wendy. And I want to give a shout out to Miss Wendy here dealing with me. Period. Y'all, yeah, look at this. Sandra's all like doing like a strong clap. So the format is 5-7-5. There's actually a longer format, and that's why earlier I said shorter, a 17 syllables on it. And if we had more time, we would do an interaction on it. But you know, we don't. And you have another opportunity to do it tomorrow at 6 p.m. at St. Law at Reality is Yours. And thank you, Aki, for doing the filming and our live streaming. Thank you, Abby Waters and Ray Fontaine, for also doing our social media. And I will leave with one last haiku, and it's called, I won't say it's called, there is no name. Here, healing for all. Kaeru K20 power. Come, joy, leave giving. Again. Here, healing for all. Kaeru K20 power. Come joy, leave giving. By Reggie. That's AKA me. All right, please share to that Instagram. Thank you. And I would like for the panel to take pictures. Thank you guys.
Can we get a thank you for Regina? Can I put all together?